Thanks, Felicia. Hey guys, happy Friday. Welcome to our color changing with macrame. This was a request that came from you guys, and it was a really good one. And since I found out there was interest, I just created a little piece to show you guys how to do it. And so what we're going to do today is just kind of show you how to do a different color in one piece. And so there's more than one way to do this. You can change color lots of different ways, but this is the method I use that I think is the quickest and the easiest to pick up. And so I'm going to share with you guys today. And of course, as always, you can make this your own by using any beads you want. And the cord that I'm using, in case anyone wants to find it, it's in Michael's. And this is one of the colors. I also will be using black and white. And we're just going to put them all together. Just put them together in a design that you can, truly improvise and use up your bead stash and stuff like that. So it is a pretty thin cord. And so it fits a lot of beads. You can get it through most standard drill beads and most Czech beads. And a lot of the Czech beads are, I find they're just a little finer than some of the like other beads on the strand wall. So it's a little harder to get cords through. This cord works. You can also get this cord through an 8/0 seed bead as well as a 6/0 seed bead. I've done 11/0, it's trickier, but with like some glue on the end, you can sometimes get them through an 11/0. So it's pretty good. So on my mat, what I've got here is just a bunch of examples and surprise. Thank you. Thanks, Felicia. And kind of like a little surprise design here. But this was the original sample that I did. And I started with like kind of doing some pearls with crystal, and then I moved up into some Czech glass. And I was just using leftover beads that I had. And so you can do the same if you've got beads that are in your stash that you want to use. Just grab them and then just kind of ombre them up. This is kind of the layout of what this is. So I basically started with two that are going to be with my first color, and then I did two that are my like transitioning colors, which for me is this natural. And then in the center, I worked with two segments of black cord, and then I ombreed back out. And I just thought that was cool. But you can do anything you like. And so on this one, I was going for something that's a little bit longer. And so I have more segments traveling toward the middle. And then I started getting creative here and started working down to the end. So the sky's the limit. Anything you want to do is going to work. There is a handout. And in the handout, I have the part numbers for everything that I've used on my mat today. And then I also have some tips and tricks. So showing kind of like where to start. I've also got tips on how to, how long, how much cord to cut, things like that. So if you want to go look for this, it's being dropped in the chat, or you may have found it already when you were doing your signing up. It was there at the sign up. So you'll need a board. And so let me show you guys what I've got for a board. There's a lot of different things you can use. Some of you guys will have tools already, like the tying station, clipboard, other macrame boards. I'm using, this is like one of those, you can put a thumbtack through it kind of boards. And it's about, let's see, it's 10
It's cork,
inches.
Danielle.
Cork, there we go. That word would not pop in my mind for some reason. It's corkboard. And so mine is 10 by 8, but this is something that you can find something, right? And then I'm just using good old binder clips. And any kind of heavy duty binder clip will work. There's other ways. There's other things you can do. If you have a special tool that you like for macrame, pull that out and use it today because it'll work just fine. Okay, and so let's jump in. You'll want to pick the colors. If you want to do the design that I featured, you'll need 3 colors, and you'll need about 11 beads. These beads right here are going to be my little dangles to decorate the edge, and that's optional if you want to just do little danglies at the end. So I'm going to show you how to do all that. You'll need some scissors to cut your cord, and then if you have handy one or the other of something like this, you can do some glue, and this is only really needed for places where you trim, or you can fuse it if you have a burner. Some folks can do it with a lighter. I'm not that skilled, but you can kind of just like burn the ends and then just like pat it with your finger and make it flat like a mushroom, and that will also fuse it. So just ways to get it to not unfray. It does stick pretty good though, so it'll work. Okay, so I'm going to take this one off my board so I can show you from the beginning. I just wanted to have something ready to finish. So in case you in case we don't get as far. I'm just going to get as far as I can starting a design. And then here's one that's ready to complete that we can finish together. Okay. So if you want to do the design that I've got here, you'll probably want to start with a length of cord that's about 18 inches. But there's a couple things to keep in mind when figuring out your length, what length you might want. And the first thing is the board you're using. So if you're using a board that's like mine, 18 inches is great. You could even go a little lower if you wanted to. But if you have a bigger macrame board, you need to add some length so that your cord can go around, because you want to be able to secure top and bottom. And something that I do when I'm working on mine is I started on the short side. So we've got the 10 inches here and then the shorter. I started on this side because when you're working at the top with your beginning segment, you want to be able to have it reach down at the part where you transition colors and be able to clip at the bottom. So when you get started, you're going to want to cut about 21 inches for the cord that you're going to do your knots with. So to sum up, if you're not sure and you just want to do exactly what I did, you can probably make it work with 18 inches starting. So let's do that really quick. But definitely experiment with with whatever you're using and make sure that that length works for you before you cut. And so there's my main. And then I'm going to cut 21 inches, which will get me about 3 segments if I'm doing 8 knots per segment. We'll talk about what a knot is and how to count them. But in general, a segment is one of these little spaces there. So each of those segments on my sample is 8 knots, so 4 on each side. And 21 is more than you need, but you need to be able to maneuver. So, and you need to, to have the length to clip it. So that's really the main thing to think about. All right, so let's get our main cord going. Keep about 4 inches or so above your board. So I measured 4 inches here. And I'm just going to clip that to the board right about there. So that one's on there. And then it's up to you if you want to string all your beads now or just a few. Sometimes they get in the way. And so if you don't want to do them all now, you don't have to, but I'm going to string maybe the first like 4 that I plan to use. And I think the order I plan to go in was like this. So we'll do 1. And there's 2. It's going to go to 3 and 4. And after that, I'll probably want to reposition onto the board in the long format. So right now, again, I'm working the short distance. I'll probably switch and do it this way after I get this part done. I'll be working kind of toward the base. So let's clip the bottom here. All right. So it's a nice tight fit. Those are pretty tight binder clips there. Test them out with whatever you're using if that's what you're doing. Here's the other cord that I cut. And so just to start, we're just going to do 8 square knots on the cord. And a square knot is super easy. Bring your cord under. So this one's going underneath. I'm going to bring it under. And then bring your ends together. Find your midpoint. And you can slide this so it doesn't have to be exactly in the right spot just yet. And so here's 2 ends of my hand. Bring one of those over. So it's going over the cord here, over this one. Then bring this side over this side. And from here, you want to go underneath the main. This is the main. And then you want to go underneath the one that's crossing over and then up and through. And when you pull tight, you're basically just getting a knot there. And I'm going to bring this up to show close, but on one side, you'll have this little hat. Do you see the little hat there? On one side, I call it a hat. It's the side of the knot that has something sticking up that you can use to know which side to cross over next. And so my indicator is on this side. So I know for my next knot that instead of making a 4, I'm going to make a P. And of course it's going to cross over. So it's going over the main. And then we'll grab that other side here and bring it over this side. And then we want to go under that cord and under this side too. So it's under the P shape there. And then pull tight. And so there's our second side. It's a little hard to see, but the second side is there. And this will get a little easier to see as we go. So don't worry if you're new to square knots, we're going to be doing a bunch of them. So I'm going to go a little bit faster, and then I'm going to slow down again when we change color. You'll be able to see really well at that point. So there's that one. And then we'll switch to this side. You just basically alter every side. If you didn't switch sides, you would get a spiral, which is also really pretty. So I'll bring this over and under. And so how many do I have? Let's see if we can count them. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 so far. My hat's on this side. So let's switch over here. And I wonder if I could put a paper under it. It would show a little better. The cork board is really hard to see on. So there's number 6. There's 7 going over, over, under, and under, and through. And here's our last one. It's number 8. This is going over. This is going over on that side. And we're going to go under both of those cords there. And tighten. All right, let's slide up a bead. And then just take a quick look, see which side it's ending on. And it looks like I ended on that side. So bring over. And then over. Under both cords. So that's 1. So far, this is just your basic, everyday, good old square knot. There's 2. And we do have a class where we did square knots a little slower, where we made, it's actually a video where we made this bracelet. At the end of class, I'll point you guys to that one. If anyone is still thinking square knots or something new, I'll show that to you guys. We're going to do a lot of them, so don't worry. And there's that. So you start getting quicker. Let's take a quick look at the numbers I've done. Let's start on this side. And if you want to also just kind of eyeball it, you can do that too. Just say, oh, it looks about the same. Height is that one. Height is that one. You can do that too, if you didn't want to count. Okay. So let's get one more bead up. And let's just do that one more time. And so you can see that 21 inches that I cut, it's getting shorter. And so that is really a good estimate for if you want to do 3 segments that are 8 knots each. And you can use that math to figure out how much cord you need if you wanted to do more or less segments. Just make sure you have, the only caution I would give is if you were just going to do 1, I don't think that dividing it by 3 would just cut it, because it would, you still need a maneuverable length, right? You need something to hold on to and something to kind of, when the cord gets really short, it's hard to get it to stay in position. It starts moving around on you, and then it's just really hard to control it. So maybe 10 to 12 inches if you were just doing 1. But on this design, the fewest we do is 2. So we'll just probably keep cutting around that length, around 21, 18 to 21. All right. So I've made 3 segments in the white. And what I'd like to do now is switch colors. And I want to slide up my new bead color. Get that from under there. And if it gets loose on you, mine's getting a little loose. I'm just going to pull to tighten that. Okay. Okay. And so there's a couple of things you can do here. We're about to change to a new, so let's cut a new length for starters. Let's cut 21 inches of our new color. And we're only going to be doing 2 segments with this color, so but I'm still going to cut the 21 just because it kind of makes sense. All right, and so I've got this old color to use up, and I want to start the new color down here. So you can just bring the cord down, and here at the base, go ahead and unclip for a minute. And this is where it really helps to have that extra length, but I'm going to bring, let's take this bead off for now. Bring these cords down and down and just clip it all together at the base. So that's all the cords that I was using to do my knots, plus the main. Just hold that as tight as I can. And let's clip it. So they're all 3, they're all clipped at the base. And then right up here, I've got my bead, and I'm just going to tuck those behind it. Just push my bead up. All right, so new cord. New cord needs to go under all of these strands, all 3 of them. So let's just go right under there. Find the midpoint. And let's start doing a new square knot. Just like we did before, over, over, under, and pull. Let's do another one. Here's over, and then we go under, and pull. And let's keep going. Here's over, and this one's going over this one, and then under, under the white one, under itself, and pull. So there's 3, here's 4. And here's 5. And there's 6. Seven. All right, and 8. Okay. So that covered up the cord that we have here. Let me try something really quick, guys. It's really hard to see. It's not really that much better, but let's see here. You can kind of see how it's covering up all of that. And what I'm going to do next is trim those 2 cords. And so one of the questions I got was, well, hey, can you carry it forward instead of trimming it after every color change? Can you carry it forward? And the answer is yes, if it can fit through your bead. The problem that I had is that it would fit through my crystal, but not through my Czech. And so in the sample design, I did trim every time and add new every time I changed color. But if you had one where these cords could fit through, you could cut a much longer length, and you could work it that way too, and just kind of swap it back and forth. I've seen that, but it's harder to make work. You can also let all those cords show on the outside of your bead, but what I'm going to do here is trim these as close as I can without cutting any other cord. And this is where, if you have one of these handy, you can just take and burn a tiny little bit. So very carefully, I actually burnt one the other day where I burnt it too much. So I just kind of fold everything down. Let me bring it up closer. Just kind of fold everything down like that. So it's just sticking out right there. And then let's just burn it. Spread it right and flat. If you were using glue, cut it as close as you can and then just keep going. You don't need to use the glue there. All right. So let's get my new bead and figure out where I was before. I think I was like that. So we're back to where we were. I need my next bead. And I'm going to knot one more segment under it, and then we'll change color again. So now all I need to do is just clip the base. And let's work another set of knots. Slide that bead up. And color change 1 is accomplished. Just like that. And so I'm going really fast on my score knots, and I apologize for that, guys. I want to show you the next color. If square knots are, because I realize this is really hard to see, I might be able to find something a little easier to see and show another demo just at the end, just to recap on square knot. But it's the same knot over and over where we go. From whichever side you were on, you switch to the other and you make either a P or a 4. So in this case, there's my P, and it goes over this cord. This one goes over that cord. And then we're going to go under the main and then up under the cord that is the P loop there. Here we go, making the 4. It crosses over the main. Bring this one down over it. And then you want to go under the main and then under the loop and up through the loop. Let's tie a few more knots here. But yeah, so this can be any way you want it to be. These designs are super forgiving. And I believe I have 8. So there's that. What's my next bead? Let's get my next bead out. I think I had planned to go into a crystal next, so let's grab that. And I'm still comfortable working on the short length of my board, but maybe by the next one I'll want to switch. Let's see what happens. But I want to switch colors now. So, got the bead on. And actually, before I clip it, I should have clipped these as well. So let's just bring these all over here. Fold them over. Put those to the end. Make sure I got that one good. Okay. So here's what we have here at the top. All those cords, and again, I'm just going to help it sit behind it. It doesn't really matter, but just kind of getting it in the right spot. And now let's get a new color. And 18 inches or so, 18 to 21. We're only doing 2 segments, so I went a little short with this one. And so bring that under all three cords. And once again, you want to find the midpoint. And then you want to cross over all the cords with one side. So pick a side, and that looks like up here I did had on this side. So let's do this way so it matches what I have up here. When you're changing from one cord to the next, it doesn't actually matter. It'll only make it spin if it's the same cord. So, but if you want to, you can just double check. Hey, I've got the hat's on that side, so I'm going to start my P-loop on that side. This side of the cord going over itself. Under the main, all 3 are the mains, and then up through that loop there. And let's just help it sit as close as we can to the bead. You can slide it. I'm just going to help it. And really quickly before it loosens, I'm going to make my square knot on the other side. Let's do one more, and then I'm going to do a little adjustment here. Okay. So I'm just going to help this scoosh up closer. which is going to impact my knots a little bit. Meaning, you know how these kind of knots, you can flow them out, space them out, or you can. So what you can do is either add a few extra knots or you can help fan them out just a little bit, which is what I'm doing with my finger here. Just fanning them out. I want to get it as close as I can to that bead. And let's just keep going. Let's see, hats on that side, so let's go this way. This is number 4. Here's 5. Six. Seven. And 8.
Danielle, can I just ask you?
Yeah.
Sharon wanted to know how tight you were pulling the cord after the knot.
Kind of medium tension, I would say. Not too tight. If you go too tight, your knots are really small. But just kind of like medium. And so there's my 8 knots. And I'm going to just go ahead and unclip really quick. And same thing we did before. I want to trim the cord that was from the segment above. So we'll just get as close as we can there. And again, if you weren't using the burner, you could just cut it as close as you can and carry on. But if you want to cinch that end up, you can. Don't burn yourself. I've done that. It's not fun. Okay. So that's all good. And let's clip it back to the base here. And I think after this, I'm going to go lengthwise on my board. There we go. Oh, before I clip it, I should have put a bead on. I haven't been doing that. Here we go. So here's one more bead. I didn't do anything to condition these ends. They're unconditioned. But if they're giving you trouble, just trim it on an angle. Just like that. And let's see. It should go right there. Okay. So there's our next really pretty Czech bead. And again, all of the beads I'm using are listed in the PDF. They're from some really gorgeous Czech strands that you'll find on the strand wall. And they're leftovers from our other projects. Okay, and so let's look. What side's my hat on? It's on this side. So I'm going to bring this cord, and now this is a square bead. And so I'm going to kind of try to make my cords go behind it and then make my P. So let's put the cord just kind of like that. There we go. I might have to adjust it as I go, but and this cord is going to go over this one and then under both the main and under the P side of that. And I am going to have to help it stay behind. And now when you do this one, go gentle on this one, just for this first knot. And the reason I say that is because that what's happening behind the bead here is it's pulling the knot up behind the bead. It can do that because this is a square bead. On a round bead, you don't have to worry about it. But on a square one, just be a little gentle with that first knot. The rest of them, you can pull at your regular tension, medium tension. There it is. And we'll just keep going. We're getting really far. I think I was expecting more square knot questions. So I mean, we might be able to finish this one. And then show finishing on this one, which will be really cool. We'll see. Let's see how far I get. Almost there. find this. I think this is my last one. I might have done 9 on that. So okay. All right, so that one's all knotted up. Here's what the back looks like. You can see how we didn't make it too tight so that it would keep all the knots both above and under the bead. So that one is ready to go. And what I need to do now is 2 things. I need to put on 1 more bead. Those, whoop, that one turned. And then let's clip all of these and let's switch back to our natural color. So just gonna clip all of those. It's still working for me to work with the short sides. I'm still going on the short side there. It'll tell you when it's time to switch because it'll start to be too close to the bottom. Okay. So all of these are clipped here at the bottom, all 3, both the cords I was using to knot, and again, the main. I got a bead slid up right there. I'll just bring this one under. And again, we're just gonna find that midpoint. And then just pull up close as you can to the bead. And let's start making knots. This one's crossing over, and this is going under all 3. And then going up to the loop on that side. Tight as I can get it. Close as I can get it there. All right. Okay, I might want to move this a little bit. It slid down on me just a little. And this is just a bead scooper. You can also just use your fingers. Probably even better if I use my fingers. Here we go. That a little tighter. Okay. And then this side is where I left off, I think. And we just keep going. It's really like a nice design because it's something that you can do anything you've got. Any color cords you've got. It just makes everything look like a really well planned out. Now, of course, I did one of these that used a dozen different cord colors once and a bunch of flowers. It was a really long necklace, and I put a dozen colors together in one design. Took me a long time, but it was one of my best performing reels of 2023. It was a really, really fun one. And yeah, for you guys that do any content creation out there, people love macrame. You just film yourself doing macrame and post it. I don't know why, but I catch myself watching them. Like I just sit there and watch them. Like, oh, this is cool. I like that, and I save them too. And I think that is a nice little tip for anyone who's trying to build their social media. All right, so here we go. One more, and there it is. Okay, let's go switch the length of the board here. First, we got to trim these. Let's trim the cord that we just finished using. So that's these 2 here. And I'm going to do one thing here. I'm going to move this cord through. And that way I can isolate those and get those all the way to the bottom like that. Trim that. And the reason I'm doing this burning thing is not actually for security so much as it is for getting it flat. So that my bead that comes along next, it doesn't have cords sticking out kind of on the top of it. All right, let's switch to the others. So we're working this way. I'm going to just turn it the long way. And let's just clip that to the top. Okay. All right. And where are we here? These knots I'm still working with. Actually, I think they go like that. No, let's go this way. The only thing when you got to get resituated when you move it around. And let's switch to this bead. Actually, I'm going to put a couple of beads on. No need to put on. Oh, actually, after this, I'm going to change colors. So, where am I? 1, 2. Actually, no, we'll put this on too. And we're doing great on time, so I'm just going to keep going. And if there's questions, let me know. But I'm just repeating. You get to see it a bunch of times. I'm just going to repeat. Just keep going as we go all the way down this little bracelet here.
Danielle, Marguerite commented, basically, you've also taught people how to change the thread if you're using the same color.
Yeah, exactly. It's another way to add thread. And there's also another trick you can use that I didn't do here because it didn't need to be done for the color change part. But for example, if you had a bunch of this thread left and you were running short of this, you can switch. And after one of these transitions, instead of cutting and trimming it, because once they come through one of these, knotted areas here, you have those 3 cords sticking out. At that point, there's no reason you can't just switch to using your longest strand, whatever strand that may be. And that makes it easy to do a super, super long necklace. Like the necklace that I made was 32 inches long, and I did not cut the whole, 38 inches to start it. I cut 12. And then at the end of one of these transitions, I switched to using the color from that was used as knot before. And that's another thing that you could think of, like, for example, up here, I just ran the white cord through the whole thing, but I could have run the natural color through here and then run the black color through here. See, I could use this once it comes out of the knot. Hopefully that makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, let me know. But I think it's just another way to save yourself having to add cord on your main, I mean. Because that's the hardest place to add, I think, is on the main. And when we next do a color change, I'll show you. We'll just do that just to show. Right, I think I'm at number 6. So here's 7. And here's number 8. Let's slide up a bead. And we'll do our color change here. Actually, I think I need to do a few more knots there. For some reason, my square knots were just a little short looking. And so obviously these little jumps are very, very short. I'm literally just doing 2 sets of knots, and I started with 3 in my main color at the beginning and the end. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So now let's do the same thing here again. Unclip it. And this is my new bead. I slid that new bead up. And I'm just going to bring these around. Flip those to the bottom. And then just to kind of decide which side they want to go on. I'm going to pull a little tighter up here. There we go. Okay. So now I'm ready to switch back. Let's grab the starting color. And I'm going to make sure and cut the whole 21 inches for this one because I'm going to use this side to finish the closure. And we'll talk about the closure too. We're still doing good on time, I think. Okay, so I'm going to speed up just a smidge though. Okay, so here's the new color, finding that midpoint, bring that up. Bunch of P-loop There, so that's a 4, not a P-loop. And let's get this as close as we can. There's 1 that flipped on me. And here's 2. Here's number 3. Four. Five. And here's 7. I think. And here's 8. Okay, I'm just gonna take a look, make sure it's all good there. Yeah, okay. So now I can trim them, but this, I'm gonna show you what I meant earlier about if for some reason I'm about to trim the 2 brown cords that are here. Let's bring this a little closer so you can see a little better. Okay. So here we have the main, which is the white cord. And you see how it's not even my longest cord anymore? My main cord, which is the white, is actually my shortest cord. If I wanted to, I could string my new bead on this cord. See, they're all just coming out right here from the base. And all you'd have to do is just pick one. Pick one of those 3 and it can become your new cord. And so you don't even have to keep working with the same main cord. And that can save somebody if you're getting short and you want to do something a little epic and long. But in my case, I'm going to just go ahead and keep the white because I want to have this end be the same on both sides. Just kind of the look I'm going for, but it really doesn't matter. You can do whichever one you want. Let's trim those 2. And this is the last time we'll have to do this particular step. And let's get on a bead. And my other bead. This was my last bead. All right, and so it's time to move to finishing here. I'm at the 15 mark. I'm gonna scurry along here. These do take a little bit of time to finish, but I do still kind of feel like they're sort of fast. Okay, so there's my new bead, and let's get this one under. There we go. Okay. So one of these ends is a little short. I think I didn't start at my midpoint, my true midpoint. There's 2. Three. There's 4. 6. 7. And here's 8. Next bead, slide it up. Ooh. There we go. My work is spinning just a little bit. There we go. I must have flipped it at some point. It did flip it. There we go. And this one is almost done. So I'm going to do the 8 knots here. And we've got 8 knots on our start up there. Let me explain that when I get there. Oops. There we go. That's 5. Here's 6. Here's 7. And 8. All right, we are done. We did the whole bracelet in one class. I did not expect that to happen. All right, so let's take it off the board.
Danielle,
Yeah.
just before you take it off the board, if
Mhm.
someone really wanted to go all out and continue this as a necklace, can you give them a hint as to how they could set it up on this board?
Yeah, easily. So once you've got, I've still got some working length here at the base, but once I run out of room, there's 2 different things you can do. One thing, if you're worried about pinching something here, which I kind of was, you can keep it pinned at the top, just like you had it. So just like that. And then bring your board further away from you and pin the bottom to your desk or to something else at the base. Now, I happen to have more than one of these. And what I do when it gets that long is I stack them. So let me try to explain. So pretend this is a board, another macrame board. And I've got this macrame board, which is giving me 10 inches. So I'm going to clip it right here to the top and have it be like that. And let's say all my beads are going to here and I need more space. Just go ahead and, this will obviously be facing so you could not, but bring your next board just under it like that and just set it like that. Bring it down and clip. This is too long, but clip your bottom part to the bottom of your next board. So kind of like that. I should have brought another board up so I could show you that. It was a really great question. Pretend this one is, well, you'd want this to be butting up right against it. And believe it or not, it'll give you the tension you need to just come along and keep knotting all the way down. You could even, if you really want to, you could get a mighty clip like they have at like the Home Depot and just like I could go steal those from my husband's garage right now and just go and clip it like that with a ruler even. So that might be the easiest way. The alternative is you do have to kind of compress some of your knots. It isn't actually as bad as it sounds. It doesn't deform them too much. But the hardest part is just getting around your beads, right? So you got to put a clip over your beads. But it would look something like that. And it's actually kind of hard to do with this clip because this is a very tight fit. So I actually would have to do what I just showed you to get that to work. But yeah, even if you don't have another device, you can always just push this up on your desk and then just clip it to the base of your desk too.
Thanks, Danielle. I appreciate that.
Hope that helps. It's
Yeah.
definitely one of those tricky spots you get into. And somehow my mat just got a bunch of cork board on it. Okay, so to finish, we've got our starting end here. And at our starting end, we did 8 knots to begin. And then here at the base, we've got our 8 knots at the bottom that we finished. And now it's ready to finish. So these are the cords I was using to do the knots. I'm just gonna, and if I might have missed a great suggestion in the chat. If you guys scroll back and see, I think there was another suggestion. Okay, so just isolating my knotting cords here. And this is one end of the main. This is my other end of the main. Tighten that again, it's getting loose. Okay, so just bring one main down, the other one up. And you can clip this to a board if you want to. I kind of just work on it as fast as I can from one side. It's really up to you. Once you've got the knots started, you just tighten them after every pull. You could do that, or you can clip it. So let's try doing it without clipping first. And if I'm having problems, we'll try securing it to the board. But this usually works for me. So this is one of my knotting cord sides. It's going underneath the main that's coming from over here. So this is the main coming over here, and it's just laying right there on top. And I'm going to cross it over both here. So it's going right over these. And then take the other side, and we're just doing a P-loop. That's just a regular P-loop. We're going to go over this one, under both of these, and then up through that loop. So it's just another square knot. And then just pull tight. And what it's going to do is it's going to capture the main from this side and one thing I want to make sure and explain is that only one side will need to be pulled to tighten it when you do it this way. If you want to be able to pull on both sides, you need to start a new cord here. So meaning finish these, bring on a new cord and do your square knots with that. Let me show you on this one what I mean. So you see how I think I did more than 8. I did like 16 there. But when I open it, only one side is loosening. And it loosens all the way up to my crystals. This side never does anything. It's great to be there to help me tighten it, just have something to hold, but the only side that's moving is one side. And that works for me here. I'm okay with that. It means that my little strands here are kind of long. If you don't like that, if you need to be able to move both sides, then you would have to start a new set of knotting cords here. But I was lazy and I didn't do it that way. So I just kind of kept going with what I had here. And I did a total of 16, but you can do as many as you'd like. And then after each one, you just kind of want to just tighten them a little bit. So let's just do as many as I can in the time we've got. And since you only have to do a few, I feel like by the time we put it on the board and go through all that, it's easier just to adjust it. So I kind of lost count of how many I've done. I think I've done like 5 maybe. So here's 6. And there's 7. There's 8. There's 9. Let's stop and see what 10 looks like. Here's 10. But yeah, I could do a few more, but I just did 10 there. And then watch what happens when we pull it. Everything will connect just right there like that. And one of the things you can also do is test your length now. And if you feel like it's too small, you can just keep knotting until you have the length you want. You can, until you run out of cord, you can add cord. Let's show finishing it. And this is where you'll need the glue if you're not using a burner. Because we were saying when we were doing the knots above, it was mostly just to keep it flat, but wasn't required. Here, you're gonna have to do something. So, and be careful not to cut your mains. So this is my main. This is my other main. We're gonna trim those. Here's my 2 sides that I was doing my knots with. And I usually do it one at a time. So I'll get one trimmed, trim it with just a little bit left to mushroom. So you've got like that sticking out there. Mushroom that side. Same thing on this side. Okay. And then just to really do some cute bells and whistles, once you've got all that done, just bring it to its tight spot and bring these out kind of like that. So holding my center point on the side, it's going to bring those out like that. And just to start, I'm just going to make those the same length. And I don't want them to pull out. So I'm going to embellish the ends with maybe 1, maybe 2. And let's just stick the bead on there. And do a regular knot, like, but then bring that end through one more time, just to make it a little thicker. And then just slide it all the way down. Test to make sure your bead doesn't come over it. It seems okay. If you want to, you can trim a little bit at the end there. So you've got 1. Now let's do that one more time. I'm going to try to kind of match where I put the last one. So I want it to be kind of like right there. So there's one trip through the loop. And then I'm going to make another trip through. A nice tight little knot there. That seems good. So let's trim right there. All right, we did the whole bracelet. That's crazy. Look at that. And you can put it on and off like this. I'm just gonna pull that tight. On the back side there. And so any design you want, that's all you gotta do. And it does stay pretty tight. I did more knots on this one because I needed the length for whatever reason. This one just ended up being a little too short for me. So and I hadn't anticipated that. I must have just kind of had tighter knots, or maybe I used smaller beads. Like on this one, I went up a size on the pearls. On this one, I was mostly 6mm the whole way. So I think that's why this one ended up being a little shorter than I'd hoped. But I did the same number of knots with the exception of this is 16 instead of the 10. And yeah, so there it is. A whole little design there. I can't wait to see what you guys do, what you guys make. And if you have any thing you want to show us and share, we love seeing your work. So if you share your design, just make sure and tag us so we don't miss it. It's hashtag make it with Michaels. And then if you put hashtag John Bead, we'll get to see it and see your beautiful work. And we are I know a lot of you guys will be there too. We're off to Tucson for the gem shows. So I won't be with you next Friday, but when we come back in February, I have some, let's see, we're starting out with a really cool heart charm bracelet. This one's going to be fun, so be sure to join us for this one. It's a really cool one. And then we're moving on to, I'm wearing the earrings now. Here's the bracelet, sorry, the necklace slash bracelet for some right angle weave hearts. So you've got some pretty hearts to do. And those are what's on my ears right now. And last but not least, my bracelet. And there's a bunch of versions of this that we're going to show that have a, it's like a peyote stitch variation. That's called lengthwise peyote. And it gives you the opportunity to work in the long. So that's another really cool technique workshop that we'll do. All right. And so I just want to wish you guys happy beading. And if you have any questions for us or just something to share, again, just tag us. We also have a Facebook group, PDFs and projects from John Bead. It's on Facebook. You can find us there. And I'm just going to wish you a great weekend and happy beading. Bye, guys.